How much is it to remove a bridge? Well, for today's example, estimates run at around £46 million, and it's not even that big a bridge. We're looking at the Huntingdon Road Viaduct, except we're not. It no longer exists, it's been removed, hence the video, so you're just going to have to imagine what it looks like. But why did we spend millions of pounds removing this viaduct, and what exciting futuristic structure will replace it? We'll come back to that question shortly. The Huntingdon Viaduct was built in the 1970s as part of a new bypass for the town of Huntingdon. It's the usual story where the roads of yesteryear took traffic right through the town centre, and as the years went by, the number of vehicles on the road increased to the point where larger capacity roads were needed. The idea being it would remove the majority of vehicles from congested town centres. So they came up with a plan to build a dual carriageway running from Fenstanton to Alconbury, and along the way it would squeeze past Godmanchester and Huntingdon. So they got on with building it, and when it came to Huntingdon, they ran into an obstacle by way of a railway. But with a 1970s carefree attitude, this was easily overcome by constructing a nice viaduct to carry the road over the railway. They ordered all of the concrete and set to work on building the 6-span, 225-metre long structure. The Huntingdon Viaduct was a post-tension bridge. This is a construction method where steel cables are used to reinforce the concrete structure internally, and it's very common on structures of this type. Except that 1970s carefree attitude would lead to corners being cut, although at the time this was dubbed as new construction methods. You know, when you tile a wall, usually you put grout in between the tiles to prevent water from getting underneath or behind and causing problems. Well, with concrete bridges, you're supposed to put grout in the gaps for the exact same reason, but they didn't do that. It's not clear as to why, but they failed to seal certain sections of the bridge. Over the years, this has meant water has been able to get into the internal structure, where you find all of those steel cables, and yeah, they of course began to corrode, and the bridge's half joints began to deteriorate due to water ingress. It's just, we didn't realise this until decades after it was built. I mean, I'm sure it was probably fine, but measures were taken in 2003 where steel beams were installed across the length of the bridge. These would catch the bridge should the half joints fail. Whilst the design life of this fix was 12 years, further strengthening work would be carried out in 2010 and 2013, but none of it really worked, and the council were faced with a clear choice: either get rid of it or replace it altogether. As luck would have it, around the same time, plans were underway for the construction of another A14 Huntingdon bypass. In fact, that was just a small part of the £1.5 billion A14 upgrade from Cambridge to Alconbury. This would see a nice shiny new dual carriageway built away from Huntingdon, and this was seen as the solution to the viaduct problems. By sending most of the traffic around the town on this new bypass, they could get rid of the viaduct completely, as it was soon to be surplus to requirements. What a stroke of luck that was! Now they didn't need to spend a load more money on repairing the viaduct. Instead, they could spend a load of money on a new road and demolishing the viaduct. So that's what they did. What used to be the A14 was renumbered to the A1307. A new A14 was built, and as of 2022, the viaduct is no more. So at this point, you're probably wondering, well, what marvellous creation did they come up with to replace this vital piece of viaduct-based infrastructure? Nothing. Brilliant. In essence, they chopped out the viaduct, leaving two ends of a dual carriageway that needed to go somewhere, so they've been bolted haphazardly onto whatever local roads are nearby. But does that matter so much? Maybe not, actually. I don't live in Huntingdon, so it's difficult to say for sure, but with an estimated 85,000 vehicles now not coming through Huntingdon and instead using the new A14 bypass, it could be suggested that this bodged-together solution isn't too much of an issue now that Huntingdon sees such a reduction in traffic. I don't know. If you live in Huntingdon and you're familiar with this new road layout, let us know in the comments how it's worked out. It might be that it was a stupid idea to remove the viaduct, but traffic levels aside, there is another way to think about this. When the 1970s A14 was built through Huntingdon, it's said to have brought with it a high level of air pollution, which it almost certainly did. But with the most recent A14 bypass construction, this air pollution has magically disappeared. A short distance down the road, but don't worry about that. We can easily say, though, that Huntingdon is much better off without the A14 running right through it and in turn the viaduct. It was going to fall down anyway, so how much does it cost to remove a bridge? Well, about 1.5 billion, because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that new A14. But I hope Huntingdon is much better off because of it. Thanks for watching.